Okay, hey, thank you for showing up tonight. Those of you who came, we're broadcasting this too on North Metro TV, so we should be able to get it out for those people who had different pitching mechanics that they couldn't leave today, or you name it, whatever else was going on. But I think we got some really good guys here that are alumni for us that have a great message that they'll be able to share with their experiences in baseball and football and beyond in their lives and what they've done. So I'm super excited that they took time today to come talk to us. Are we getting feedback in here? Is that just me a little bit? How about now? Is that better? Slightly better? I don't know. Okay. But anyway, so thanks for coming in today. We're going to ask these guys a lot of questions. There will be a Q&A session at the end too if you guys come up with stuff that you want to ask. We've got 5 segments that we're going to go through today. We have playing in youth and high school, the recruiting process and what that was like for them, playing at a higher level, and then things they wish they knew, and then the Q&A at the end. So we're going to kind of jump right into it and have us give us themselves. They got microphones that they're going to pass back and forth so that everybody can hear. And I'm going to start out easy. Everybody will start with Jack down at the end. Introduce yourself. When did you graduate? College you played for? Where are you now?
All right, so I'm Jack Pooter. I graduated in 2020, along with these two here. I'm currently a senior at UMD, playing baseball up there. Yeah, that's it.
I'm Bryce Nelson, also 2020 grad. Still in college at Concordia St. Paul, playing ball there. Yeah, senior.
Enthusiasm. I'm Dylan Wilson. I'm a 2020 grad as well, and I currently attend the University of Minnesota Duluth.
Perfect. Hi, I'm Tyler Reichenborn. I graduated from Blaine in 2016. I went to a few colleges. I ended up at Iowa Western Community College my first year. Then I went to St. Louis University, and then ended my college career at Tennessee Wesleyan University. And I am fairly newly retired.
Seth Miller, class of 2018. I went to school at Augustana University in South Dakota, and I am currently playing for the Sioux Falls Canaries in the American Association.
Eric Shrest. I graduated in 22, and I'm a sophomore at St. Mary's right now.
You turned it off, buddy.
Hello? Check. Okay. Sorry about that. I'm Sam Riola. I'm a 2017 grad. I kind of hopped all over the place, but I graduated from St. Cloud State this past spring. And currently, I work for Humminbird, which is up in Little Falls.
Hey guys, I'm Jason Call. Graduated from Blaine in 2019, and then was at Stanford University in California the last 4 years. I played football there, and just graduated in the spring of last year, and now got married this summer, and me and my wife are both doing graduate school at the University of Minnesota, and I'm studying sports psychology.
Cool. So as you can see, we got a lot of different backgrounds from different guys. So what I'd like to do, ask most memorable playing experience. We can go youth, we can go at Blaine High School. If you don't want to go there, let's jump to anything, I guess. Could work. So we'll work the other way back. Call, you go first.
Are we sticking with baseball?
Hey, it says anything you want.
I'll stick with baseball. Let's see. I would say I've got 2 quick ones. One of them, my junior year, is pretty funny. So I actually threw a no-hitter against Roseville. So that was one of my top moments for baseball. It was really awesome. But the funny joke was we actually made it to state that year. And the running joke was that I was one of the only pitchers to throw a no-hitter and then not pitch the rest of the season. Because I wasn't one of our top pitchers at that time. But the other one, my senior year, we also made it to the state tournament that year. And we were fortunate. We were actually losing a game in the state tournament, but it was bases loaded. I think it was like 1 or 2 outs, and I was able to hit a double to right center and get some momentum for our team, and we took the lead with that hit too. So I remember that being one of my top baseball moments for sure.
Well, I never did anything that cool. But honestly, I got two moments as well, kind of quickly. Town ball, I'm a town ball enthusiast. The Low Gators made it to the state title last year. Unfortunately, we were defeated, but no, it was a great experience. And then last year at St. Cloud State, first round playoffs, I think we were down, I want to say 9-2 or 9-3, and we ended up coming all the way back in the last two innings. So that was really special too.
Oh yeah, for me in high school, our senior year we opened the season against Andover, and the year before we had gotten knocked out of the section tournament against them on a walk-off. And opening day my senior year, we threw a shutout against them, beat them. They came in ranked number 3 in state, and we opened up the season with a win against them. So I think that was my favorite game from high school.
For me, I think it would be the Legion state tournament before we made it to regionals. We didn't have a really good regular season. We were kind of joking around, and then we showed up to CHS for the state tournament. We said, let's kick it into gear, and we made it all the way to the championship, and then we got to go to Dickinson, North Dakota for the regional.
I got 2 experiences I'll share. One, there we go.
Technical.
Perfect. There we go. That's better. One was in 2016 for the Blaine section tournament. That was the first time we won the tournament and made it to state. It was a great group of guys. I think our motto that year was play for the pile, and we truly committed to that, and rode all the way to the state tournament for our first time. Second one would be winning a college championship in 2019 at Tennessee Wesleyan. That's NAIA. Again, it was the same concept. Great group of guys. We're all committed to one goal, and we stayed true to it and achieved what we were setting out to do.
So picking up on what Jason said earlier about making it to state his senior year, it was my junior year when we made it. So for high school ball, I'd say that was the most memorable one throughout that season. But my favorite one was when we made it to the Legion State tournament. We were kind of like middle of the pack. We weren't like a 1 or 2 seed, but then we ended up basically just underdogging the whole thing and going to state. And the fun part about that is like it's a hotel, like they pay for it for the whole weekend, and we have never experienced something like that before. But that was by far my favorite one.
Yeah, sorry, I'm going to repeat a few things because I was with these guys a lot, but Legion State Tournament was a lot of fun just because we weren't supposed to be there. There's a lot of teams that were talent-wise better than us, but we put it together when we needed to. State Tournament, junior year was a lot of fun. I would say winning the section championship was a lot better than losing in state. I enjoyed that a lot. And then what Sam said, town ball. I think we got 4 Gators up here. Now 5. Tyler just joined. Making it to the state championship, not easy to do. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, we're going to go take it this year, though.
That's right. So my favorite baseball memory, I didn't play a whole lot at Blaine here. But yeah, like these guys were saying, that state tournament game was super fun. And then probably my overall favorite memory was hitting 3 home runs against Bemidji State in one game.
Okay, so now we're going to ask a little bit harder question. Did any of you ever not make a team trying out? Yeah, we got a yeah? Yeah. Everybody else shaking their head no? Okay, Dylan, this question's for you then.
Let's see it.
Okay, so when you didn't make a team, what team didn't you make, and how did that direct you, or how did you respond to that experience?
So basically, it was when I was just younger. I didn't make the team for Blaine travel ball. So what I did was I kept playing Blaine, I think it's ball, right? Still, and played that for another couple of years, and then I played down a year for Spring Lake Park, and played there for 2 years, and then I just kept playing and playing, and never stopped playing baseball. And I think that's where it kept getting me today, because when you're younger, like it's not the total development of a player. It takes time for a lot of people, and skill level is never the same. until even in college too. Like, you can not play that much in high school, and then you become bigger and stronger and faster, and then you get some more playing time, and you just keep working at it, and you just keep going, you just keep playing.
All right, cool. Next question. How many of you are multi-sport athletes by a show of hands? Okay, so this question for you guys, multi-sport guys. Glad you did. Sports you played, and how did it translate to baseball?
I guess I got the mic. I'll go first. I mean, I played basketball too in high school. I wasn't the best at it, but it was just nice to be a part of a team sport that wasn't baseball, because once you got to college, it's the same sport all year for continuous years. But I'd say I definitely have some of my favorite memories playing basketball as well. And yeah, I just really just shows you how to become like a different athlete in some aspects like that. But overall fun.
This was something I highlighted in the questionnaire. I highly recommend being a multi-sport athlete. It helps development your complete athletic ability to your full potential. Little background on me: I played 5 years for the St. Louis Cardinals, and I would say 90% of the people in the locker room were multi-sport athletes. Only 10%, but that's because in their country they only had baseball to come up with. So highly recommend it. While I was here at Blaine, I did baseball, Nordic skiing, basketball, and football. So the more you can do, the better.
I want to go, hold on real quick, Tyler, I want to ask a question, because I know you did Nordic skiing, but I didn't coach you, so I don't know you that well.
Yeah.
Why did you choose Nordic skiing? Why did you go there? Because that seems like an odd one. Basketball seems kind of a lot of hockey kids, but why Nordic?
Nordic, because my family, we come from Nordic skiers, so it was part of it. But the reason why I wanted to stick with it was to have conditioning in the winter, as well as strengthening my legs. Because I know freshman and sophomore year, I did basketball, but then I started having hamstring issues my sophomore year. And so that's when I started researching more on like the fundamentals, like the muscle structure of the legs and how everything's connected. And I came to the conclusion that Nordic skiing would be the best route for me to help strengthen my legs for the baseball season.
Okay, yeah. So I was a three-sport athlete at Blaine. I played football, basketball, and baseball. And actually, baseball, I always called it my fun sport. That was the sport that, you know, I played in season, and I played in summer ball too. But football and basketball were always my focus. Those were the main sports that I really wanted to do well in. I mean, I always wanted to do well, but I'm like Tyler, I would say, huge advocate for multi-sports. One, because physically it does, prepare you to do multiple things. You're exposed to a lot of different movements and everything like that. But I would say the biggest thing was it allowed me to go from one thing to the next and still have fun with what I was doing. And burnout, I know, is kind of a common thing now. And I think because I was so well versed, I was able to enjoy going to football practice and then take off my cleats and then go play basketball and shoot free throws, and then later in the night go hit a baseball and pitch. Like, I loved that idea of going from one thing to the next. And I definitely see why a lot of parents and a lot of coaches are advocating for just one sport, just because with recruiting, there's so much that you have to do in a year, whether it's football for me or baseball. Like, you can play baseball all year round, I'm sure. And so my advice to that is have a primary sport, right? You can play 2 or 3 sports and enjoy them a lot and have a lot of fun. But at some point you have to be able to, if you have to choose one or the other, like if you have a game at the same time, like in the summers, I played AAU basketball, and I'd have to choose if I'm gonna go to basketball or play my baseball game. And a lot of times I'd choose basketball because that was my primary sport, and Coach Feigem at the time didn't really like me that year. But so that would be my advice: is you can still do 2 or 3 sports and do really, really well at them, while still, having one sport that you're going to want to try to pursue in college.
All right, we're down to one mic to try to reduce the feedback on it. So you guys will just have to wave it down as we go. All right, we're going to jump into the recruiting process. Just a lot of things that interest me in talking with kids on how they're getting recruited and their experiences. I try to reach out to college coaches and talk to them. But this was the part I'm most excited about, to kind of hear you guys and what that experience was for you. So, first question, two-part. How were you recruited? And walk us through that process. I mean, we've got everything from Division I to JUCO, D3. I mean, we're kind of all over the place here. So those of you who really kind of want to jump in and share, go. We'll listen.
Yeah, I'll go first. So I'm not baseball. I played football in college, and my recruiting was pretty unique. I was going to play basketball in college. That was going to be the sport that I worked the hardest at, that I felt like I had the best shot at. And I had a really good senior season of football, and I remember at the time, my coaches, I know Coach Satz was on our staff, and he wanted me to reach out to some of these Big Ten universities and try to be a preferred walk-on, which is, you're recruited to be on the team, you're everything like a scholarship player other than you're not getting a full scholarship. And I liked that idea, so I sent out my film, and I remember one day I was just walking to class, like right over there, and Coach Law stopped me and said, I have a small connection at Stanford, like a college buddy, he's a GA there, like, would you mind sending your film there? And I remember telling him, like, don't even bother, like, that's, we won't, not even try it. But he did anyways, and they really liked my film, and then that's kind of how it started. I remember I applied to Stanford in literally a weekend. It was like just towards the deadline, I applied and kind of just sent it in, and then left it up to that. And once I got accepted, then I got, went on a visit there, committed on the spot. It was the perfect spot for me. But so it's pretty unique, but I would say, I wouldn't have gotten that opportunity if I hadn't prepared on the front end, if I hadn't taken all the AP classes, if I hadn't worked so hard. So that opportunity would have come and it would have passed, if I wasn't in that spot at that time. So I would say I was pretty unique, playing football, basketball, and baseball, thinking it was going to be basketball for me, and then just being, I would say lucky is one way to say it, but, put myself in that position so that when the opportunity came, I was ready.
Yeah, so my recruiting process was a little different than most, just considering how many places I jumped around. But one of the biggest things that I believe is that you have to be an advocate for yourself. It's just like anything in life. If you're not advocating for yourself, then what are you really doing? And part of the way you can do that is by preparing yourself, setting yourself up for success. And part of the way you do that is by conducting yourself in, a well-mannered way, respecting others, showing respect. 95, 96, 99, almost all the coaches that I've ever met or have known, would cross a kid right off the list if he didn't come from a good family or wasn't well-mannered or, didn't take his preparation correctly. And I think that's such a huge part, not only in the recruiting process, but, no matter where you are in your journey, whether, you're a freshman who's just scratching the surface, whether you're a senior in college, there's always room for growth. And I think that's directly applicable to, the recruiting process. So if you're willing to go through the steps to prepare yourself and put yourself in a state of mind where you can be the best version of yourself, surround yourself with good individuals, then I think that sets you up for success.
Yeah, for me, as far as the recruiting process goes, I was a little later than most. It's the summer going into senior year. We were playing in a Legion tournament, and Coach of St. Mary's saw me play, asked our old Legion coach, Coach Webb, for my contact information. And then over the summer, went down there for a visit. Really liked it. Made sure it had, the major that I wanted, and went and saw a couple other schools, but was committed by the fall. So a little later than some guys, I'm sure, but when the time comes, if you're ready for it and it checks all your boxes, I think it's a personal decision to everybody. So that's the big thing.
Yeah, for me, it was actually even later than Eric here, as the fall of my senior year. I had been doing some showcases. I had talked to a couple D3 teams, some schools in Minnesota, and nobody had really seen me outside of the state until finally I was pitching in the Siebert League the fall of my senior year, and Coach Huber at Augustana was at the game recruiting another kid that we were playing against, and I just happened to be on the mound pitching, and he liked what he saw, and then he shot me a text. I went to Augustana a couple weeks later, went on a visit, went there the next month, and he offered me, and I accepted it the next day. Really the big thing for me was just like choosing a school where I could combine academics and athletics. I knew that they were a good baseball team, and I knew that I was going to put myself in a community that had success, just through education and through community in Sioux Falls. So the really big thing for me is just understand that there's a lot more to picking a college than just baseball. Understand that they need to have your major, understand that they, whatever size school you want, whatever city you want to be in, just the classes, professors, all of that, there's a lot more that goes into it than baseball. And for me, Augustana was a perfect fit of all of that.
Yeah, I completely agree there with Seth. Yeah. So with my process, it started my junior year. That's when I first started getting contacted by some coaches, because Coach Feigem here helped me get together an email and send out like some clips and just some feelers out, see what schools were interested in. And then I started getting messages back my junior year, because at first I started getting a bunch of letters for camps. And I thought, I was like, oh, this is super awesome. They must really want me to go there. But those are camp letters that they send to everybody. So I found the best way to get noticed by the colleges I wanted to attend to was through the showcase circuit. I did PBR was the main one. And I know when I got recruited to go to Iowa Western, it was because I was at a PBR pro case down, I think I was in Gillette, Illinois. And I was in the cage, and one of the coaches was like, oh, yeah, really like your swing. Oh, we so happened we did get your email. We'd like to set up further meetings and stuff. And it went on that way. But then again, kind of touching on Seth's point, make sure the school you are going to fits everything you are looking for, because it's not just baseball at the end of the day. You are trying to set yourself up for life after baseball, because it happens to everybody. You can't play baseball forever, unfortunately. But you want to make sure you're in the best position possible, no matter how the dice land, that you'll be able to have a solid foundation to build yourself upon.
I couldn't have said it better. Good job. It's kind of the same as Seth over here. Basically, I just reached out to every coach's email I could possibly find. I did one showcase in the summer, for the Gophers Classic showcase. And I got some numbers from that and just kept pushing those numbers to coaches' emails. And I got some coaches to come watch some games, which was nice. But overall, like when you're about to commit, not recruit, sorry. When you're about to commit somewhere, you gotta go somewhere that if you do get hurt, and you can't play baseball again, to make sure that the school is right for you in your future. That's a really big thing.
My recruiting process was junior year. After the state tournament, the Gophers reached out to me. I had a really, really good season that year. So I was getting recruited by them, and then they brought me to a camp that was kind of full of, it was a smaller camp, probably like 40, 50 kids, full of Gopher recruits, but there was also other colleges there. So then while I was there, I talked to the Concordia St. Paul coach and a few other coaches. I kept in touch with the CSP coach for a while. Once the Gophers didn't work out, then went on a visit with the Golden Bears. Loved it there, and that's where I ended up. And all these guys covered all the things that you should figure out before you decide on a school. You wanna make sure it's the right fit for everything except for baseball, and baseball is just the cherry on top.
Yeah, so for me, growing up, I always loved the city of Duluth, playing in hockey tournaments up there. My favorite part about it is when you come down the hill and you can just see everything all at once. So for me, I was always set on going to Duluth for school. And then I figured, hey, I might as well reach out to the coach. So I had 7 varsity at-bats because us three over here didn't have a senior year. So obviously there wasn't much to go off of there. So honestly, it just came from me believing in myself and knowing that I could play at the next level. So I just continued to reach out to the Duluth coach. Probably took 6 emails to him with maybe 2 responses, because you know how he is. But yeah, so I ended up going up there for like a tryout thing, which is basically just, they hit me some ground balls, took a video of my swing, stuff like that. That was in like December of my senior year before COVID hit, and then I think I committed in like March or April maybe. But yeah, like all these guys were saying, you got to take baseball out of it and make sure that the school is a good fit for you.
All right, you guys are doing a great job. Keep it up. Question I had in here too, but I think we hit on a lot. Just want to know if there's anything else we want to hit on with communication with coaches. I hear a lot of emailing, a lot of constant emailing. Being your experiences, what you know now, your relationship with coaches, what would you say is like, hey, what's the best way? I'm a kid sitting out here. I want to go play ball somewhere. What would be the best way to communicate with that coach? If anybody else has anything else, not everybody has to share on this one. If anybody else had something to go.
Yeah, I guess just going off personal experience, just getting in touch with them and figuring out like how they operate and what their recruitment process is. Like every coach is different, obviously, but yeah, like I had to email them a bunch of times because I didn't have like a high school background to go off of really. So.
No, he wanted it.
I would say, yeah, email, texting, calling. It was the main way going about it. But then also make sure, ability is what will get you into the door. Character is what makes you stick around. So you want to make sure you present yourself the best, be clean, be proper, don't have like messy hair when you go on like a college visit, just be presentable ultimately. But yeah, with that, every college coach is a little bit different, so you do have to understand what they are trying to do in their recruiting process or for their recruiting year, and you try to market yourself to fill the needs that they are looking for, and be resilient too.
It's just the one thing that I'll touch on that. I know at Augustana, it's not Huber that does a lot of the main recruiting, it's our assistant coaches. So not just emailing and trying to text just the head coach, like reaching out to assistant coaches, because a lot of the times they have a little bit more time on their hands than our head coach does. So they have the ability to respond faster and just be on their phone more and go look at your tape more. So if you're just sending an email just to the head coach, maybe like CC all the assistant coaches as well, because they could see it before the head coach sees it.
Yeah, I think this covers more than just football. It covers baseball too. But I know something I heard a lot during my recruiting was players felt like if they were good enough that coaches would find them. And I think if you're the top player for your program, that might be true. But for the vast majority of athletes, it takes more than just playing well on the field for coaches to find you. It takes a lot of effort from the athlete. I know parents like to get involved too, but I would say the biggest thing is utilize coaches. Like they're here to support you. They're not just there to coach you on the field, but they want you to do well. They want you to have a future with baseball if that's within your plan. So go to them, ask them like, is college baseball something that you see being like my potential? Like, am I able to get there for one? And then two, what are some ways that you can help me? Because, Coach Erickson, I'm sure, has plenty of connections of schools in the area. And that's what I went to. Like, I went to my coaches for help because I knew, like, in my time, Twitter was the main source of communication, at least it was for football. And so I had a lot of coaches reaching me through there, but it was just communication back and forth. So make sure if you do get contact from coaches that you're not missing that. You got to be able to communicate effectively. But yeah, my biggest thing would use your coaches. They're there to help you and serve you and assist you. And if that's kind of within your cards to play college, that's a part of what coaching high school athletes is. So.
All right, looking back, what's something you wish you knew about recruiting. If you're a kid right now going, hey, what do I need to know? What do these guys need to know? If anybody's watching this later on, what do they need to know about recruiting? And I'll tie the last question there too. What's the most important thing about the process? So think about those two things. What do you wish you knew going through it? And what would you consider the most important thing to know?
One thing I'd say is just you never know how far you can go. So if there's a school maybe that you're kind of interested in, or you feel like maybe you have a shot there, send a note to the coach. You never know. It's always worth a shot. The worst they can say is no, and then you move on. So I think that would be my biggest thing that I would say.
I think one of the biggest things that like I wish I knew is that the process takes time, and that like your best opportunities could come right at the end, like they did for me. Like if I was getting nervous near the end of it, I was just kind of sitting there thinking like, am I actually going to be able to go play baseball in college and find a right fit for me? But it really it does take time. Just be patient with it. Understand that there are a lot of colleges out there, and the right fit might be somewhere that you don't even know existed.
Whatever you can do to separate yourself is a huge thing, and consistency and persistency, are both really important things. And if you're willing to take the time to, like some of these guys said, just communicate with coaches, and you never know where one connection could lead you. You leave a coach on red, or you don't respond to his call or text, that might close a door that you weren't expecting to be closed, and vice versa. You respond to someone who you maybe didn't have much interest in, but you show them a little respect, and they might help you out with a connection later down the line.
Yeah, and one thing I want to add on to that is kind of everyone's timing's different. So one thing with the process is try not to feel rushed, because like these guys have said, you never know what happens, how a team could end their season. It could be final game of a conference tournament, and a third baseman goes down with a knee injury, and you so happen to play third base, and now they got to fill that role for the next year. So that's kind of another thing about why you want to try to leave as many options open. Don't burn bridges right away, like leaving a coach on red, or being disrespectful in any way, which I don't think any of you are. But then with that, I kind of want to branch off. A term I heard when I was in high school was D1 or bust, and that was a lot of people's mindset, and I feel that killed a lot of careers more than burnt them, because in my situation, I didn't go D1 out of high school. I went to JUCO, and I would tell every single one of you here, the JUCO route's probably the best way to go. I highly recommend it. Lifelong memories, friends I'll have for the rest of my life, and ability to play right away, which was huge in my case. I couldn't go to a university and sit and wait until late sophomore year, early junior year to finally get some consistent playing time. I knew with the momentum I had, I needed to keep it going, and so that's how I found JUCO being the best route for me.
You guys all got it.
Good.
All right, so we're going to transition a little bit to playing at the next level, unless anybody has any final thoughts on recruiting.
Covered it all.
Okay, good. Yeah, a lot of good stuff. All right, so we're going to transition on then to playing at the next level. What was the biggest learning in that transition from high school ball to collegiate level or beyond ball? Bryce, you haven't talked in a while. I'm going to make you talk. Go.
Yeah. I'd say it didn't have much to do with baseball itself, even though it was obviously a lot more work. Just adulting in general, time management skills. You don't have your parents there to say, make sure you're at practice, here's your jersey. So just, you gotta get on top of it. It's a big wake-up call. It was for me. I know my freshman year was the worst I did academically by far compared to the next 3 years, because that's when I grew the most and figured out how to do all of that stuff and how to fit in the time to study. And when you have free time, you need to use that for school, because you don't have a lot of free time. So I would say time management skills is the biggest thing that I learned going into being a college athlete. That was the biggest difference from being a high school athlete to college. Just growing up a little bit.
Yeah, I totally agree with what Bryce was saying. Time management is super critical, especially when you're a student athlete. Like you said, there's not a whole lot of free time, and when you do have free time, you need to use it the best way you can. Then transitioning into the baseball side of it, the biggest difference between high school and college baseball is the mental side of the game grows exponentially. When you're in high school, you might have some buddies on the other teams that you play against, but college, there's so much film that you can be watching just on like opposing pitchers, for example. And then also having an approach at the plate was never something that I learned how to do. I'm sure all of your coaches have said it a million times, but actually sitting down and thinking about what you need to be thinking about when you're stepping up to the plate is something that I never really thought about. I just kind of go up there and swing as hard as I can, try and hit it. But you need to be thinking about one or two specific things that you can be focusing on for that at bat so your mind doesn't go all over the place.
What are the one or two specific things that you think about, Pooter?
Still trying to figure that out, Coach.
Okay.
Oh, are we all talking about it? Yeah, I might as well. I'd just say this one thing. Like when you go in as a freshman to where you just committed, it's basically like starting over in high school as well, in a way. Like you're a freshman again. All the upperclassmen know what the thing is, know what they're doing, and so the mindset of going in like, oh, I'm gonna play right away. Oh, like I've been working so hard, but then there's another aspect of like knowing what the coach is thinking, knowing what you're supposed to do, and it's just mainly a mental side of it, as well as Bryce said with time management. That's crucial.
Yeah, again, completely agree with everything everyone's saying up here. Time management is huge. I know my freshman year, I read a book called Atomic Habits to help me create habits to help me achieve what I want to do. But also with the time management, sacrifices have to be made. For me, I sacrificed a video game. I was a big gamer in high school. I'd go to school, go to baseball practice a little bit, and then come home and game the rest of the night. But when I got to college, I realized I didn't have the time to do that because classes got harder and more was expected from me from the baseball side. So sacrifices will be made, but you want to make sure the sacrifices that you do make benefits you in going forward. And then to the baseball side, the mentality change, yes, the mental side is huge in the game to begin with. But just kind of understanding, like, yes, approaches need to be made because from a hitter perspective, you have to understand that pitcher is thinking as well. He's trying to do his best to get you out. And any advantage that you can have preset going into the at-bat will give you a better chance at success.
I think the biggest thing for me going into college is I didn't realize how much baseball we actually do. Like in high school, you really start kicking it into gear probably around, the New Year time because February is coming around and that's when you have tryouts, and then March, April, May is your really big baseball season. But you get to college the last week of August, first week of September, and you are every day you're doing baseball. You got practice stuff every single day. First fall is the longest time that you will have in college. My first fall felt longer than the next 4.5 years that I had in college. And a lot of it's not fun. It's not playing games. You don't get to go scrimmage. A lot of it's showing up to your facility. You're sitting there for an hour, and it's how do I get my stretching done? How do I get my throwing done? And how do I go lift? And it's a lot of embracing. Our coach calls it embrace the suck and learn to love the suck, because a lot of it's not all fun. So learning to just how when you're not in the mood, how to get up, drive yourself to the facility, and go get your work in for the hour and a half you need to do, and then you're done for the day and you can go be a college student.
Yeah, I'd say the biggest difference that I noticed was just making the most of your opportunities, making sure you're prepared for those opportunities. So college roster, there's 50 guys. So when your time comes, you got to be ready to perform, and that goes back to practice all winter long. You got to take those seriously because you might only get one shot because there's so many more guys behind you waiting for their chance too. So not to put too much pressure on you, but you got to be prepared throughout the winter for when your time comes.
These guys hit the nail on the head. It's all mental. I would say it's almost like 90-10. Everything that had to do with, making adjustments, learning a new schedule, and just finding a rhythm, not only in the baseball world, but, the college world, it's all mental. And if you want to be successful in life and you want to be successful at the game of baseball, they're both two mentally taxing things. And, I know Tyler knows this for sure, but, baseball's a game of life. It's very mentally taxing, and if you don't prepare your mind, then you just don't even have a prayer, and that's the truth. And I think I really tried to armor my mind, not only on the baseball side of things, because that's just a small piece of who you are in the grand scheme of things. But if you can, armor your mind in the different facets of your life, it's going to show success on the baseball side of things. And if you're willing to do the work to go with it and practice hard while training your mind at the same time, you're going to see results.
Yeah, I think the last thing I'll say too is you have to realize that at the college level, whether it's D3 all the way up to D1 and all in between, your teammates, they were the best player at their school, right? Even at the D3 level, like D3 is super, super competitive. And like when you get to the Division I level, I was playing against some of the best athletes, not in the country, in the world. Like you will be humbled your freshman year, regardless of the level, and you have to ask yourself, what sets me apart? And believe that you are there for a reason, because you are. If you get recruited from a school and a coach likes what you have to offer, you are there for a reason, but you have to figure out what that is, and not focusing on what your teammates are doing, what they do well, but really focusing on what you do well, and having that belief in yourself, like that mental side, is super big. But you have to realize that, coming in as a freshman, it can be a really humbling experience, and it can crush you if you don't have a realistic expectation and know what it's going to take for you to get to the level that you know that you can reach.
Okay, so you guys have hit a lot on the mental side, right? Let's talk real quick. Not everybody has to answer, so we aren't here all night, but let's talk real quick about strength training and what that looks like in your world, especially as it compares to what you did here at Blaine High School.
Yeah, I'll speak quick. Football is a different sport. I was 200 pounds coming out of high school, and after my freshman year, I was 220, and I lost body fat. So I had put on 25 pounds of muscle within about a year and a half, and that was just because, for college football, you're in the weight room for at least 3 or 4 hours every single day, like 7 days a week, probably about 50 weeks out of the year, and that's just because the sport implies. But I think with baseball too, it's very specific movements. But yeah, I would say physically as well. Once moving the transition from high school to college, I would say is probably more, like Tyler could probably talk about this, but it's probably more of a transition from high school to college than it is from college to professional, in my opinion.
Yeah, kind of like, it's hard to explain. There's different movements in baseball rather than football, kind of like he was touching on. And like, for example, in high school, I want to say I weighed maybe $145, $150. Couldn't sniff hitting the ball to the ballpark. And, by the time I was a senior, junior in college, playing weight, probably around 185. And so just being an advocate for yourself, I know I've said that a lot, but it's the truth. Being willing to put in the work, especially in baseball, those quick twitch muscles, it's super unique. I'm sure Seth, being a pitcher, Dylan as well, can really touch on it, and Eric, just meant Eric. There's really unique movements and things that you're trying to work on off the field that will directly correlate to in-game movements, quick twitch, fast movements. So there's a big learning curve, but there's a lot of different things that you can do for yourself.
One thing I wish I knew coming out of high school is that to compete at the college level, you have to look like a college level athlete. And with that being said, to all you high schoolers, I would say start bulking up now. You'll thank me later for that. And then kind of with the training side of it, you have to train with the purpose. Because I remember when I was in your guys' shoes, right after school, I'd go to the Crunch Fitness now, but it was an Experience Fitness, and I'd just work on show me muscles, big chest, shoulders, bicep curls. But once you get to college, you got to throw all that out the window because it is all small, fast twitch muscles and, really strengthening core. And just, one thing I'll also add on to it is if you guys can understand the anatomy of the body, like understand what muscles are connected to what, that will give yourself another step up on the other people that you're competing against. But yeah, so make sure you train with the purpose. Train baseball specific muscles if that's what you're going to pursue, and it's not all just about the bench press.
Yep, as he was saying, don't ego lift. That'll just ruin your body. But I can't really talk on this much because I've been doing rehab lifts my whole entire college career. But I have a herniated L4 and L5 in my back, so my workouts have always been very different. Just coming from high school, doing the lifts here, it was like probably the most fun I've had since, I don't even know, I just haven't been able to lift in a while. But don't ego lift, take it seriously, weights can hurt you, and know what you're doing.
From my lifting experience at college, it's a big focus on how fast you can move the weight, not how much weight you're moving, because baseball is an explosive sport. It's not kind of how strong you are, it's how hard you can swing the bat. So when we're doing stuff like bench, we're trying to do three bench presses in under 3 seconds, stuff like that. Obviously we have our max weeks and we try to move weight big, but it's all about moving the weight fast, because baseball is a power sport, quick sprints, hard swings, hard throws, just doing everything fast.
Yeah, so my lifting experience started, I'd lifted in high school a little bit, but it really started my senior year, fall of high school, when Erickson and Sats, mostly Sats, introduced calorie counting to us, and that opened up my mind to realizing that lifting is only part of it. You have to eat right, and you have to eat a lot if you want to get strong and big. Because I've gained probably 35 pounds of muscle in my 4 years at college, and that's just solely been through eating a lot, eating healthy, and being disciplined, working out 6 times a week, almost every single week.
Yeah.
A lift that you guys could incorporate, deadlift. I think that's a very important one. And then also, if you can understand how T-spine mobility works, that will help you develop explosive rotational power as well. So those are just 2 hints for you guys.
Are you going to make us Google T-spine, or explain it to us out here?
T-spine mobility, so ultimately, it kind of sounds what it is. It is the spine and then the muscles that protrude from the spine. And you want to just strengthen them. So you got, I don't know names of muscles that great, but you have, I'm trying to think.
You got the rhomboid and subscapularis.
There we go.
I put you on the spot, see, so I apologize for that.
But no,
so
it's fine.
Increasing the muscles around your spine and the rotational movements is what
Yes,
you're getting at.
along with flexibility and mobility. Those are 2 also that I would include onto that as well.
All right, for the sake of time, we're going to jump to our last category. What words or lessons from coaches struck you throughout the years?
One saying I got that I still, remember to this day was, so what next pitch? That was one I had written on a sticky note up on my bed, the first thing I looked at every day. And so what that told me is no matter what you do, you could fail tremendously at it. Don't let that one failure stop all the momentum you have going. It is how you can pick yourself back up and put yourself back out there is what pretty much anyone in the game of baseball is looking for, because baseball is a game of failure. We all know that. If you hit 3 out of 10, you're considered a great. But, just don't let failure stop you, and always kind of keep pushing forward to get past, I would call, mental blocks that you come across in daily life, and that's something that will help you from here till the end of time.
So basically, the exact same concept of that, but in different wording, is what we got at Augie, and it was just the word good. And it was from, I forget what he does, but he's just a big motivational guy. Jocko Willink, I think is his name. Navy SEAL, perfect. And it's basically just, if you are battling adversity, that's good for you. It's like if something happens, good. Now, me coming back from that is just going to be an even cooler story. It's so we got rained out today for practice and we can't do anything. Good. Now we get to go inside to the facility and get better instead. It's just finding a way to make a positive out of a negative in any sort of situation. It can be just in baseball or in life as well.
Be where your feet are. I think that's super important in baseball and in life. All we really ever have is right now, where we're at. And if you're living in the future, or you're living in the past, you're not really benefiting yourself in any way, shape, or form. Something that I like that I've kind of learned more recently that applies to that is 10-80-10. So obviously you can't just completely forget the past. Otherwise, how would we learn? So you have to, understand a little bit at least, so you can better yourself for what you're doing now. And you can't just completely write off the future, where that other 10% comes in. So you have to have some planning of where you want to go. But at the end of the day, if you're not where your feet are, then you're either living in the future or the past. And that's not going to help you be the best version of yourself in baseball, in life, and in school.
Yeah, I think something that I'll say, it kind of applies to like the journey. You can think of it as your high school journey into recruiting or just your overall college experience. But it was our strength coach. He'd always say, a person can experience one of two pains: the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. And both of those things are painful. Like waking up on those early mornings it's hard. Like it's not going to get any easier. You just get stronger as you go through it. And so you have to choose. It's either one or the other. You're either going to get better that day, or you're going to sleep in, not get your workout in, and then you're going to regret that later on. And oftentimes that pain of regret is going to be a lot more worse than that pain of discipline. And when you look back on your life, and if you wish that you would have done more, that's a lot of times more painful than if you did that. And even if the outcome doesn't go in your favor, like if you worked for that and you know that you gave everything that you did, then you can feel fulfilled at the end of the day, regardless if you win or lose, regardless if you start or don't start. That pain of discipline, and that will take you through, past college, past sports. That's kind of just been a thing that I've tried to live by.
Just turn the page from Mike Nelson, who was also in attendance with us today. Basically the same thing that they're all saying. Just never, always think positive, even if a negative thing happens. That's life.
Yeah. Also, control what you can control. Yeah. That's the biggest thing. It's hard to understand as a baseball player. You can't control the weather and the umpires and the other dugout. So you can control yourself and you can control your team. You can motivate your team. If you're wasting energy on the umpires, which is something you'll see at every level, I see it all the time. My teammates are doing it all the time. I try my best not to do it, because you need all the energy you can get.
Are the low gators doing it?
Low gators are not great at controlling what they can control. It's hard to tame the gators. But another thing that has moved me a lot in the baseball world is always have a plan. That's from my hitting coach. Or I guess anyone could have said that. But whenever we're hitting in our pole barn we got in St. Paul, randomly our hitting coach will come up in the middle of a round and say, "What are you thinking about right now?" And if you don't have a purpose to every rep that you have during that day, then why are you in there? Because if you're just taking swings to swing, you might get better, but you're going to get better a lot faster if, man, I really feel my shoulder pulling out. I'm going to really think about every swing, keeping my shoulder in, or whatever it is. If you have a purpose behind every rep, you're going to get better a lot faster.
All right, so we talked a lot about what college coaches have said, words of advice. What's something you wish that, what was a piece of advice that you received in high school that maybe would have changed your approach on how you did something? What if our target audience today and online is theoretically high school kids, youth kids, middle school kids who watch and maybe have a little bit of an idea of what they want to do? What's something that if, hey, maybe somebody told me this, I might have changed my approach this way and I would have done something different here? Does anybody have anything in that realm they'd like to share?
I'll go quick. Baseball is all about winning games. If there's a guy on second and you're a righty, you want to hit opposite field because that moves the runner over. If you roll over to third base, they're going to throw you out of first and the runner's going to stay at second. It's all about winning baseball games. It's not just about getting a hit. So I'd say that is a big thing that I've learned, is that you can make a huge difference to winning a baseball game if you know the situation that you're in every at-bat.
If you guys focus on baseball IQ, I'd say if you focus it while you're in high school, you are already putting yourself, I think, above, I would say, 50 to 70% of the other high schoolers that you're competing against. It's, again, like we all said, it's one thing college coaches look for. You want to see how well do you understand the game? Not how well can you play it, but how well do you understand it? Like, do you understand those small situations, whether it's like the one with the runner on second, you want to go opposite field if you're a righty to advance the runner, or even just base running. I think base running is probably the most slept on baseball IQ thing that's out there. Just understanding. I think when I was at the Cardinals, spring training, we'd spend a whole day learning how to properly round second base. I know it sounds monotonous, but if you hit the middle of the bag while you're going to third, you're some really minute, small milliseconds behind. Rather, if you hit the inside corner of the bag, you can also increase your speed and also reduce that time going from second to third and ultimately scoring, which is what everyone would like to do.
I'll just piggyback off of understanding the mental side of baseball and understanding the game of baseball. If you want to find one way to impress your college coach when you show up to your first fall, understand how to, hold a runner on, understand base running, understand how to pick up on a pitcher's timing when he's pitching if he goes at the exact same pace every single time, understand bunt plays. I know everybody here has probably spent countless hours on a baseball field running bunt plays with their team, even though they happen 1 to 2 times an entire season. But if you can perfect a bunt play, your coach is going to be comfortable putting you in that position during a game.
Yeah, I'd say back to the mental side, learning how to fail early is really big. Learning how to take what you need from every experience that you fail in, take what you need to help you learn, and then flush the rest. But making sure that you don't immediately flush it and grow from every experience.
Competing for sure. I think that's something that separated me. I wasn't the fastest, I wasn't the strongest, I wasn't the smartest baseball player there was. But, I really like to compete. And I think that's something that separated me, was just always wanting to win, whether it's taking swings in the cage or a game. And that kind of made me obsessed with the game in a way. And I was always trying to perfect my swing. And that's when I made big strides in my game, was I became obsessed with my swing. I'd videotape myself, 5-6 times a week, I'd take ungodly amounts of swings off the tee. I think that's super important. Tee work tells you a lot about your swing. And, just understanding the different ways that my body moves was so important. There's so many things that you can learn about a baseball swing. It's so much more than meets the eye. And that all comes back down to the mental side of it. Your body can only do so much, but your mind can do a lot more. And then one other thing to add to that is have fun. I don't think that gets, talked enough about in the recruiting process and just baseball in general. If you're not having fun, then why are you playing? And that can take you a long ways too.
Yeah, I think real quick too, I struggled a lot with comparison going out of high school. I love to compare myself to the very best. I felt like that was making me better. And what I learned was, at least what I say now is, you would rather compare yourself to who you were yesterday than to anybody else today. And that just allows you to get to your potential. And a lot of times your potential is going to be enough to get to where you want to be. And that has a lot to do with confidence too. Like for me, it was basketball. Like I would come in before school. For football, I lifted, and during basketball season, I would shoot free throws. One, because it makes you physically better, but two, it gave me the confidence so that when I was in the game, I didn't doubt myself, that I didn't put in the time necessary, more than just practice, more than just my teammates. Like I knew, I'm like, okay, I went in this morning, I hit 100 free throws, like whether I miss it or I make it, like I know that I did what I could to do that. So yeah, comparison and confidence, I would say.
All right, I'm a timely person, so we're at 8:01. I apologize, we're slightly over. If you have ever been in a meeting with me, we keep it short and sweet. So that's the goal here. So at 8:01, final advice that you would have sitting up here today to share out to those watching or here. What do we got? Oh, it's 8:02 already. So just what do you got? Final advice.
I would say just trust in yourself. You have something to offer, whether it's for your high school team, like play your role. For some guys, it's to be their best player on their team and to have the best statistics. For other guys, it's to, when your time comes, is to be ready for that moment. So I would just say be ready for the role that you have and take pride in whatever that role is.
Try to learn something new every day, and again, have fun. Otherwise, why are you playing the game?
Yeah, like he said, enjoy it. It's fun. It's a game. Enjoy every part of it.
Nothing's ever a straight line movement. Like everything's linear. You're going to have ups and downs no matter where you are. Baseball, weight room, class, just understand that when there are downs, how do you make them ups? How do you turn negatives into positives?
Yeah, enjoy playing baseball. It's a great game. Understand it is a game at the end of the day, even though some coaches and parents might, really hound on other players. But just make sure you enjoy it. And then another thing I would say, make sure you push yourself outside of your comfort zone. That's a big thing that was always harped upon me when I was your guys' age. And now that, 10 years later, it's easier to do it at your current state versus trying to go farther down the road and like, all right, now let me try to do something, because there'll be probably something life has thrown you that'll be in your way. So go outside your comfort zone.
I'd just say set goals and be accountable to yourself. Always show love to the people that love you and enjoy your life, because baseball is just a game. It's supposed to be fun.
I'd say never say no to anything. Go have fun. If your buddies invite you to the basketball game on a Friday night, go. Don't say no. Don't sit in your room. Don't say no to going to a lift. Don't say no to anything. If you have time to do something, go experience it, because you're going to be working a lot in your future. So go have fun.
I'd just say the last thing, trust your preparation and trust the process and enjoy every moment of it. That's all I gotta say.
All right, so those of you who chose to come in today on a nice, balmy December day, questions from the audience. What do we got?
Who was your idols growing up?
question was, who was your idol growing up?
For me, it was LeBron James. I don't have to explain much on that one.
Kirby Puckett and Rod Carew.
Paul Goldschmidt, probably. Justin Upton. Now it's Corbin Carroll and Zach Gallen.
Justin Verlander. I liked watching him a lot as a kid.
Derek Jeter, guy's a winner.
I'd say my uncle, Ryan Bowen, he played in the NBA for over 10 years. He was just known as a hard worker, and he was always my role model on that way.
Other questions? Thank you. That's a good one. How important are showcases?
You guys can speak on baseball. For football, a lot of guys, it is important. I never really did it. I went to 2 junior day showcases type of thing, and for a lot of guys, that's their way of getting noticed. That wasn't the way that I went about it. That wasn't the way I got recruited. Most of the time, because I was doing another thing, I was playing another sport, and I was really, really busy in high school, and that's where I spent my time. And so it's not mandatory. You don't need to have it happen. It does help, but a lot of times, at least in my experience, those type of showcases, they're for a select few athletes that can show times and are really, really athletic, probably for baseball as well. So it is, you get a lot of mixed reviews. I would say, look for those opportunities. They're important, but it's not the end-all, be-all.
I would say showcases over camps. Kind of the way you get recognized from college coaches is showcases and the live games. The reason why I don't hold camps so highly is I've been on both sides. I've been to camps trying to go to that school, and I've worked camps as that college athlete. And the camps are really just so the baseball team can raise money for their program, for bus trips and stuff. Not too many kids get recruited out of camps, but you have a better opportunity at getting contacted from a showcase, from a school that has genuine interest in you.
I would say you have to be a pretty standout player to make a difference at a showcase. Showcases were a waste of time for me. I didn't get many connections through showcases. I couldn't throw harder than the average guy around me. I couldn't hit the ball harder than the average guy around me. So my numbers didn't stand out, and showcases is all about numbers. So I was more of a gamer. I got recruited from playing in games. I couldn't stand out at a showcase. It depends on the player for sure.
Yeah, I mean they certainly can help you, and they are they can definitely get your foot in the door. But I think one thing that you could look for is if say a school or a coach that you want to play for is showing up to one of these, then maybe it would be worth your time to go. But if not, then yeah, like these guys were saying, there's not a whole lot of people that actually that actually commit from showcases alone.
All right, so with that, we will wrap up tonight. So thank you again for coming in tonight. Super cool that you were here. Thanks to these guys for coming and sharing. I learned a lot. I'm hoping those of you who are here learned a lot. Those of you who are watching online can learn a lot as well. Tons of knowledge in this room. So I appreciate you being alumni who are willing to come back and share your gifts and your knowledge and everything you've done and your experiences. I think it's super valuable for us as a program. So thank you, appreciate it. I didn't warn them on this, but if you do have questions that you want to come ask specific guys, they're going to have to stick around for like a couple extra minutes too, so if you got questions to ask, and Terry wants a picture. So we're going to do that. Grab a cookie or 6 on your way out. And again, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.